Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're not actually here to learn how to introduce ourselves in English. Nope. We're going to pull back the curtain on the brilliant method behind a simple lesson to figure out what a truly masterful teaching blueprint looks like. So, let's start with the big question, right? This is the ultimate challenge for anyone who's ever tried to teach something, whether it's cooking or coding or a new language. How do you build that knowledge from absolute scratch? I mean, where do you even begin? That's the puzzle we're going to solve. And to do that, we're going to use this lesson plan for a beginner's YouTube video. Now, it looks deceptively simple, but we're going to treat it like an architect's blueprint. We're going to analyze its structure, its pacing, and all the smart little choices hidden inside every single instruction. Every great building needs a rock-solid foundation. And, in teaching, it's exactly the same. Those first few steps are absolutely everything. They set the tone, they build that initial bit of confidence, and they create the momentum for all the learning that's about to happen. To really get this, we have to think about pedagogy. Now, I know, it's a bit of a fancy word, but all it really means is the art and science of teaching. So we're not just looking at what is being taught, but the deep thinking behind how it's being taught. So the lesson starts with the most fundamental thing there is, identity. I mean, before you can talk about anything else, you have to be able to talk about yourself. And so the lesson wisely kicks off with the two most basic pieces of who you are, your name and your age. Notice it doesn't just start with a random vocabulary word like name. It starts with this, a complete, usable phrase. It seems so simple, but the way it's put together is actually the first major clue to this whole method. And what's so clever about this is the technique. It's called a sentence frame. By giving the learner this fixed structure, my name is, the teacher just removes all the complicated grammar from the equation. The student has only one job, just plug in their name. This massively reduces the mental effort and gives them an immediate win. It feels good. Then the lesson moves on, adding the next piece of your identity. And again, it's another complete, self-contained phrase. It follows that same beautiful principle of simplicity. But it's also paired with another really critical technique. And this right here shows just how important practice is. The lesson plan says the teacher has to pronounce clearly and slowly and encourage repetition. This is about so much more than just listening. Getting the student to actually say the phrase out loud builds crucial muscle memory. It transfers that knowledge from something they just heard into something they can actually do. Okay, so once that basic identity is set, the lesson starts to expand. It gives that identity some context in the world by answering two more key questions. Where are you from, and what is it that you do? I absolutely love this instruction. The teacher isn't just throwing out an example, they're explicitly pointing out the rule. This is one of those key teaching moments. It makes the hidden pattern totally visible to the learner. And that brings us to another super powerful technique, the fixed formula. Think of I am from plus country as a simple, unbreakable equation. The student doesn't need to get bogged down in grammar rules. They just follow the formula, plug in their country, and bam, a perfect sentence. It's such an elegant shortcut to communicating correctly right away. All right, next up, the lesson takes on your profession. Now I want you to pay close attention to the specific examples that were chosen here. Yeah, that choice was no accident. This is another key technique. Using high-frequency, immediately useful words. A beginner is very likely to be a student, maybe a teacher, or work in an office. This gives them the most bang for their buck and makes sure they can use what they've learned in the real world, like that same day. So far, the student has been collecting all these individual building blocks of language. They've got the pieces. But now comes the most important part of the entire lesson, seeing if they can actually put it all together. And so the lesson ends with this mini conversation. The teacher acts out both parts, showing exactly how these separate phrases connect to form a real, natural dialogue. It's that moment of synthesis, where all the little pieces just click into place. And that's the whole point, isn't it? Real learning isn't just about memorizing a bunch of facts. It's about being able to apply them. This conversation practice is the bridge that takes a student from just having passive knowledge to having an active skill. So, after all that, what have we learned? Well, by deconstructing this one simple YouTube lesson, we've actually uncovered this powerful, universal blueprint for effective teaching that pretty much anyone can use. It all really boils down to this 4-step plan. First, you use simple frames to make things less intimidating. Second, you use deliberate repetition to build that muscle memory. Third, you combine those skills into a real-world practice scenario. And finally, you add the last and maybe most important ingredient, reinforcement. The lesson ends on this simple note. It's not just an abrupt stop, but a very deliberate moment of encouragement. And this is so much more than just being polite. Positive reinforcement is basically psychological rocket fuel. It validates all the learner's effort, it builds the confidence they need to tackle the next challenge, and it gives them the motivation to keep practicing. It's the perfect emotional capstone on a perfectly designed lesson. So you see, this simple English lesson is actually a masterclass in teaching. It uses frames, repetition, practical application, and reinforcement. And sure, this blueprint can teach a language, but the real question is, what could you teach with it? How could you use this exact same structure to explain a piece of software or a new workout or a complex idea to someone who's starting from zero? That, right there, is the hidden genius of simplicity.